We're fancy. Good evening, everyone. Thank you, everyone, for joining us. My name is Rachel Wraith. I work with Mayor Collier, and it's great to have all of you join us this evening. So I just wanted to start by just talking about sort of the format for tonight, so we're all clear on how we'll be asking questions and how Mayor Collier will be responding. We're really excited because this is our first town hall of 2019, and this really is taking a modern twist. So we have some really fun activities. We have trivia, prizes, a special video that we'll be unveiling, and of course you have the opportunity to ask your questions to Mayor Collier. Does that sound good? Yeah. So in a moment I'm going to pass it over to Mayor Collier just to welcome everyone, and then when it comes time for questions, if you could just simply raise your hand and we'll come over to you with the microphone and you can just stand and ask your question to Mayor Collier. We'd like to ask that you refrain from making any comments, or we just really want to have a respectful environment this evening for the questions. And if there's anything that we're unable to answer tonight, there will be an opportunity following the Q&A for a one-on-one and to ask Mayor Collier some questions. There's many members of council that are here as well, and we'll be following up with you following this evening. And we hope that you stick around after the formal portion of the evening because we do have a special reception. You notice the media wall outside. You can get a selfie with the mayor. And again, it's just an opportunity for you to get to know the mayor and council who's here. So I'm just going to turn it over to Mayor Collier.
Am I on? Oh, I'm on. You're on. All right. Thank you very much, Rachel. Thank you, everybody, for coming tonight. I want this to be a little bit more informal. Shaun is fine. Let's drop all this Mayor Collier stuff for now. Real council meetings, we can do that. But for now, I think we're okay being a little bit more informal. I'd like to introduce a couple of people. We have, well, I'll start with the most important, my beautiful wife, Rose Collier, who's here. Thank you, Rose. We have a number of members of council here. We have Regional Council Ward 2, Sterling Lee. Local Council Ward 1, Rob Tyler Morin. Local Council Ward 3, Lisa Bauer. Local Council Ward 2, Ashmead Khan. And Regional Council Ward 1, Marilyn Crawford. And we're missing Joanne Dyes. She'll probably arrive in a little bit. We also have our CAO here, Shane Baker, who was new to the town in September, is doing a great job. We have Dev Ramkarin. Ramkelly from Mark Holland's office, MP Mark Holland's office, and I think that is all the dignitaries in the room. And my parents are here. Mom and Dad are here. So thank you very much for coming, everybody. I've spoken about this often, and I'll do it almost every time. I'm just so proud of the new council. I've been on council since 2003. We've done a lot, but this new council is just so energetic and enthusiastic, and anybody that's been watching on social media will see how well we've gelled together and all the things we've been doing, and you know, everybody's open-minded and bringing a lot of fresh new ideas to the table, and really just the level of enthusiasm has gone right up. So it's a much different working environment. It's very, very positive, and I think we're going to do some really great things this term. But one of the things that we all made a really big commitment about was to have open, transparent communication. And I've been holding open houses since 2010, and I'm going to continue. And this is the first of 4. This is live with the mayor this time around. And that's where not only do I can answer some of your questions, but I learn from the residents what's important, what we're doing right, especially what we're doing wrong, and the direction that the residents want to see us go. So that's why these are so important. Let's keep it respectful. I understand some people might have some budget questions, might have some beefs to, some bones to pick with me, and that's fine, but we'll be respectful. And I'll try and answer all your questions. And like Rachel said, she's got some innovative sort of fun things that are going to mix it up tonight as well. So this is not going to be your standard boring town hall, hopefully. It's going to be fun, it's going to be energetic, and we're going to all learn together. So I understand who has the first question. Somebody said the lady in the front row. Go ahead.
On a poll to find out how residents felt about pot shops, and 63% voted against it or said they were against it, and you went ahead and agreed to have them.
Okay.
Why waste the money on doing a poll?
Okay, good question. On January the 14th, this sounds a little bit loud. Is this loud? Okay. On January the 14th, I believe we had our council meeting, and before that we had a pretty in-depth consultation. Now the price tag on that was I don't think we spent any more money on it. I think it was just some staff time holding it at the different places. And we did the polls, and people were able to fill out something online. They were allowed to fill it out at the locations, and I think you were allowed to call in your votes as well where you stood on retail cannabis and Ajax. Now, I don't think it was 63. I think it was 5249 was the actual numbers that we had when it came forward. I'm going from memory, it might be, but it's close to that. So it's not as high as 63. I would say if it was 63, I would have considered it a little bit more, I would have taken that more as direction. But quite honestly, a 5249 is pretty much split down the middle to me, because it's not decisive, because we all know that when people feel strongly, that there was nothing in place to stop people voting 3 times, for instance, at every single event, right? You could phone in, you could do it online, so there was no safeguards for that. So given that little margin of error, 2%, to me, that was not decisive. So we made our decision, and it was a unanimous council decision based on mostly the economic factors and the job creation and the money that we're getting from the province on that, because this council, in the past, we've been very environmental driven and focused, and this time round, we're very environmentally and job creation focused. So since we didn't have decisive numbers from the polls, they were kind of 50-50, we went with the environmental, or not the environmental, I'm sorry, with the economic benefits. And that's where we made our decision. So, did that answer your question?
Yes.
Excellent, thank you. Who do we have next? Don't be shy. I know somebody's going to ask me about the budget. Go ahead, sir.
I'm sure you've been asked this question before. I just haven't heard your answer. I read in the local paper the 4.75% tax increase. That's got to be 2.5 times the rate of inflation. So there must be an explanation for that. So I can hear it now.
Well, those that know me know, as an accountant by trade, I've always been kind of the financial watchdog on council since 2003. I'm always questioning the numbers. And the last thing anybody wants to see is a tax increase. We're all taxpayers. Everybody on council is a taxpayer as well. So that in mind, we're in a union environment. Okay, so all of our staff are unionized members, and we all know when you're dealing with union environments, collective agreements and bargaining, we pretty much start at 1.25%, 1.5%, because that's usually built into the agreements. Also, we have outside factors, things like the cost of fuel, the cost of insurance, the cost of our, equipment and parts and things like that. So we generally start, even with nothing happening, at about 1.5%, 1.75% on average most years. And if you look back the last 10, 12 years, you'll see the budgets have been, the lowest it's been was 1.75. And remember, for every $1,000 you spend on your property taxes, 30% goes to the town. 55% goes to the region, and then the balance goes to the province for school, for education levy. So the 4.75% tax increase is only 4.75% of 30%. So it's really 1.415. So your entire tax bill isn't going up 4.75%. Okay, so if you have $1,000, it's not going up $47.50. It's going up $14.15, 1.4%, because it's only 4.75 of the 30%. Just want to be clear on that. So we started at about 1.5, 1.75. Last year we had what's called Bill 148, which was the provincial legislation raising the minimum wage up to $14 an hour. Now we don't pay we have 600 part-time seasonal staff at the town of Ajax for our parks and rec programs and everything else. And so that Bill 148 last year represented a full 1% increase, almost $800,000 increase to our town budget. And that was something that was outside of our decision. That was something we had to do. So sometimes we have outside influences. This year, what we had was the Audley Rec Center came online. So we spent $29 million doing phase 2 of the Audley Rec Center, and it's going to be complete and open this year, but now we have to staff it. So those new staff hires, those 8 or 10 people, are all new money to the budget. They were not there before. That added about another 1.3% to the budget. So now we're up to about 3.5%. Then, as a council, we recognize that over the last decade or so, and I'm not saying anything that we've done anything wrong, but what we've had is pretty much status quo budgets. So we've kept pace with inflation all the way through. But in the meantime, the town of Ajax has continued to grow. And we had the Pan Am Games, for instance. Okay, so we hosted the Pan Am Games. We built all those new sports diamonds, all those new soccer turf fields down at behind the Ajax Community Center, but we never hired any more staff. So we were stealing staff from over here to maintain all the new fields over here. And quite honestly, in my point of view, the maintenance of our boulevards, for instance, our litter pickup, our maintenance of the town kind of went down. Our service levels kind of went down. And in other areas as well. We had the same amount of staff because we weren't hiring any new staff, but the town was continuing to grow. We were continuing to provide services, but we weren't growing with it. So we have the same people doing more. We recognize that, and we recognize we've fallen behind, and we want to really raise the bar this time around. That was my commitment. And my commitment also is residents are going to see what they're getting for that extra 1%. Okay, so 1% of the 4.75 we've put into increasing service levels. We're raising the bar on everything from our litter pickup. We've absolutely declared a war on litter. And I think people walking around now, you can actually see a difference already. Usually what happens is when all the snow melts around March, April, you see all the garbage. But our seasonal staff don't come online till about May. This year was May 6th. That's when the students are done school, the university, college kids are done school. And so we have that 5 or 6 week period from middle of March till May 6th where nothing happens. And that's when the residents all start calling us saying the town looks terrible. Somebody asked me tonight why the streets are still all covered in dirt. I said, give us a bit of time. We're not quite there yet. It's still freezing at night, so we haven't got the sweepers out yet. But in order to accelerate that, we're spending a little bit more money. So we've got people out now, not in May. Okay? The other thing is our lawn maintenance. We know we always get overrun with dandelions. The place, last year we had a lot of rain. The grass grew like crazy. This year we've got money in the budget to address that, to make sure that we don't get overgrown, that we don't get behind, that we have those extra cuts in the budget. Things like that. That's what I mean about raising the bar. Also increasing service levels in a number of other areas. So the Audley Rec Center, raising the bar, and then just the statutory increases that go to staff is how the 4.75 became about. And what that represents is about $5.84 for the average homeowner per month. And my guarantee is, or my commitment is, that you're going to see the results that come from that. You're going to see a much cleaner town. You're going to see a much more maintained town. You're going to see increased services at things like the rec center and places like that. So I hope that answers your question. Who's got the mic? Oh, we've got one here.
Thank you for the coffee. Yesterday we didn't have any coffee at Mark's open house.
Oh. I'm not commenting on that one.
I have a series of questions, but let's just go back to the budget.
Yep.
You mentioned yesterday that the budget was limited and it would only cost taxpayers about $4 or $5 per month.
$5.84. Yeah.
Yes. Now, I did some checking for the last 5 years. This is what you call, or what I'd call, a creeping tax. Each year we get about 4 or 5, maybe 2 or 3. From 2014 to 2018, my Ajax portion of the taxes went up 17%. The Durham region taxes went up 14%. And the school education only went up 9%. So I don't mind paying the taxes, Shaun. It's just that I want to get my money's worth. Mm-hmm. And you talked about cleaning up Ajax. I live in a cul-de-sac. I don't know the young lady that was here. Is she your secretary that introduced you?
Rachel? Rachel is government relations.
Oh, okay.
Is that your proper title? Okay.
No, it's not. It's probably not her. But we've had a bad winter. Mm-hmm. I live on a cul-de-sac. I guess it was a Friday night or a Thursday night. We had a terrific snowstorm. I hadn't had my street plowed yet.
Right.
And at 4 o'clock, 4:30, unfortunately, just before the shifts change in your staff, I couldn't call anybody. So I called your office. Young lady answered the phone. She was very pleasant. She passed my concerns over to Tim Fields. Tim visited us the next day, and things got going. But I did that twice, and I shouldn't have to.
The young lady might be sitting right next to you. That's my assistant, Jen.
Oh, okay. But, the money should be well spent in the structure and the roads and the sidewalks. I have a real long list. I had one of your signs on my lawn this year. I live in South Ajax. The area, the road, Westney Road, between Finley and Monarch was repaved not too long ago, okay? They did at least I thought they did a great job. But the following year, it was dug up again in portions for utilities. Now, to me, that doesn't make sense. I got a prostate. Every time I go over that damn road, it hurts.
Let me address the snow one first before we get too far behind. And I got to ask people, let's do one question at a time because there's a lot of people here and everybody's going to have some questions. So, to the snow. First of all, with your numbers you gave me, what was the year you started on those 70% increase for the Ajax portion? 2014. Okay, so over the last 5 years, and if you work out 17%, we're on about an average of 2-3 per year, except for the 4.75 this year. So it's been fairly consistent year over year. That 17 is cumulative. So it wasn't 17 one year, it was over the 5 years, but which is about consistent. With the snow removal, we are subject to the labor laws of the province, and the labor laws of the province say that our drivers can only be on the road for a certain amount of time, then we have to give them mandatory rest. So the way the snow works is if we know it's coming, we have the brine vehicles out, they're spraying the roads, they're getting things prepared, so when the snow comes, a lot of it doesn't stay right away, it kind of melts off. And then when the snow hits, they go out and they do their first plow. And they do all the main roads, and by that time, they're at the maximum amount that they can work that they can drive before we have to give them a mandatory, and I don't know what the time off is. Is it 8 hours? 8 hours time off. And we try and time it so we send them back and we can get them back first thing in the morning. So that's why the main roads get done first and all the interior and secondary roads. And if you're on a cul-de-sac, yeah, you're probably near the end, unfortunately, but that's just the way it has to work. We have to get the main roads done first. And then when they come back, that's when they start doing the interior roads. Now, what sometimes happened, and happened twice last year, was we had 2 consecutive major snow events back to back. And when that happens, when the staff comes back, they can't get to the secondary roads. They've got to do the primary roads again, okay, which delays the secondary roads and the senior snow removal program another 24 hours. So it's not an ideal situation. The alternate to that is we have a lot more staff, but then we take the risk of, if we have a second shift, then people are going to be complaining that the tax increase is 6.75% because now we're paying people to sit around. So it's a fine balancing act, but that's how the snow works. A motion was passed last night that moved by Councillor Khan and Regional Councillor Lee looking at the windrow clearing, okay, the big pile left at the end of the driveway. It's not saying we're going to do it. We're just going to find out what it costs, because people are moving here from Toronto and they get that service in some places in Toronto and they want to know what it costs. So we're going to find out what it costs and we're going to tell you. I did this once before back in 2006 or 7, and the cost was about $900,000, and that at the time was about a 2% tax increase, and everybody said, no thank you, I'll shove my own windrow. But we're going to find out what it costs, and so we can tell the people, and then the people can make the decision, the residents can make the decision if they want it or not. So that's to the snow. To the road, whenever we do that's a regional road, and whenever we do a regional road, we always, or when the region's doing a regional road, we always try and coordinate so we don't end up having to tear up something and redo it again. And I'll use Salem as an example. In 2007, when they were doing Salem Road, we as a town spent $1.4 million of our own tax money pre-servicing all the employment lands up there. Okay, so we paid for all the wires and the pipes and everything in the roads to service those lands in advance, so when businesses came, the lands are shovel ready. That to me is an investment, but we didn't want to have to tear up the road later when a company wants to come and build to put in the pipes. Right, so we always try and coordinate. The other one we did recently was King's Crescent. We did as well. We weren't going to do King's Crescent, but the region was replacing the water line. So we accelerated it in the capital budget and did King's Crescent to coordinate with the regional works. So we try whenever possible to coordinate, because nobody wants to put in infrastructure and then take it up and then the residents all complain and it's a waste of money. I agree. So we do the best we can. And I'm sorry about your prostate. Pardon?
I live on Carroll.
Okay.
A few years back, I think it's the region's responsibility. They replaced the water lines because the PBS
polybutylene. Yep.
And I heard a rumor that it cost about $7,000 a house for them to do all these repairs.
No, it's not that high, but it's in the many millions over the region. There's something like 60 or 70,000 homes we had to change. The polybutylene lines, or the plastic lines that were put in to feed the water to the homes back in the 80s. And they were expected to last a long time. They're failing. So being proactive, we're doing about 19,000 homes per year, replacing them. And we're in the last year, I think.
Except that they patched up the roads, and our street is rough.
Okay.
It's just as bad as West Road, perhaps worse. I've heard this complaint from other residents on our crescent. And the irony is that across parks, there's a couple streets there that have been paved. I don't know whether there's a priority list.
There is a pavement management plan. Yeah, there's a pavement management strategy where we look at the roads every year and we identify which ones need work and which ones are okay. And we know approximately how long paving will last. And like anything, if we do maintenance, it's a lot cheaper than having to tear up the road to start from scratch. So it's a lot easier to do what's called a shave and pave, where they take off the top layer and repave it, than to rebuild the whole road. But this young lady right here, Lisa Bauer, is your local councillor. And this is the person you call to find out where that road is on the pavement management strategy. So I'm going to move on, because we've got lots of people here and lots of questions.
So we actually have some online questions.
Yeah.
We have over 50 people who are watching live right now, which is fantastic. So I just have two questions for you. The first one is from Jennifer. And her question is, what's the latest with the police station the region is supposed to build? In your platform, I feel like you remember you saying you wanted it in Ajax.
I would love a police station in Ajax. And this was part of my platform, and I've been pushing for a station in Ajax ever since I got on regional council in 2010. Now, keep in mind, I'm only one vote of 28 at the region of Durham, so that it's not like I can snap my fingers and make it happen. The other thing is a police station is somewhere around $30 million. So during the budget, I put together a business plan, I'll call it, where I looked at, in the budget, in 2021, I believe, there's $30 million for another station, for the design of a station in Seaton, and then money for design in 2021 and $30 million for construction in 2022. At the same time, there's something, I think it's around, Tom, maybe now $70 million for another Center for Forensic Excellence in Clarington. And we already have the Durham West Station in Pickering. So if that goes ahead, that means there's 2 stations in Pickering and 0 in Ajax. Now, on our taxes, of our 55% we pay to the region, 31% of that 55% goes to policing. And the police budget is $206 million a year, so Ajax is funding approximately $35 million a year of the police budget. Do we get $35 million a year of policing? I don't know. I suspect no. But what my argument is we are paying for service and we're subsidizing other municipalities. I don't think a police station is going to solve everything, but I think it will act, that presence will act as a deterrent. It'll also give residents an area to go to report crimes in sort of a central hub. It doesn't have to be just a station. It can be for other services too, to do with policing and community safety. So, but we're not there yet, and every budget year I try and move this ahead, and I think I'm opening some minds. This term of council, another thing that's good is the region, we had a turnover of 14 of the 28 members of regional council are new. So again, fresh new faces, fresh new ideas, open minds, and I'm working with those people, trying to build relationships to get everybody on side, to recognize that we need to start funneling some of those resources here. The other thing is the regional headquarters has $120 million in the budget for 2023, I think, to expand regional headquarters. So what I'm trying to do is take in the same amount of money and move it around and make it work better. If instead of spending $120 million adding an extension to regional headquarters, the 3rd floor of Durham Regional Headquarters, about 75% of it houses Durham Regional Police Headquarters. If we build a new station in Ajax and make that police headquarters as well as a station, that clears out most of the 3rd floor at the region. I'm also chair of Durham Regional Transit, and transit takes up about half or good third of the 5th floor at Durham Regional Headquarters. If we build a new building, which we are next year in North Whitby, and made that the Durham Regional Transit Headquarters, we could clear out that 1/3 of a floor on the 5th floor. Then we also lease buildings all over the region of Durham for health and social services. So if you are on Ontario Works, you've got to go to headquarters. If you want childcare, if you want other things, you've got to go to all these different places, and we're spending a lot of money on these buildings. If you built a police station, not in Seton, but somewhere kind of halfway, maybe around Brock and Taunton, that could service North and South Pickering. That would free up that Durham West building, which is near the end of, which is pretty much at capacity. That could be the regional headquarters for health and social services, right on the main pulse route. Again, by doing this and moving things around, we could potentially avoid 90 of the $120 million on the expansion of Durham Regional Headquarters because we just created 2 floors almost of capacity. Things like that I'm trying to bring to the region. Just a different way of thinking and a different way of allocating the money. But it takes effort, and you've got to work with all the different people in the different levels of government, the different communities. So I'm working on it. We're not there yet. But the good news, this regional budget, and the regional budget is a 1.89% increase. It's about $51 a year for the average homeowner. Has money in there for 24 new frontline officers. So 24 new cops and cars on the road. And I'm certainly hoping that at least 3 or 4 of those are in Ajax. And that should go a long way. So I'm okay with the increased presence now, but I'm still going to keep the fight on for the police station, because in my lifetime here I've seen 3 close. So we deserve one.
Perfect. Thank you very much. So we're just going to take a quick trivia break. I think everyone's noticed Mayor Collier's T-shirt that he's wearing, or sorry, Shaun's T-shirt that he's wearing, live with the mayor. So this is the way it's going to work. Rachel's going to show you everyone the question. And don't shout it out. If you just raise your hand. If you know the answer, raise your hand. If you're a resident.
I'm a resident.
Okay, I don't see a hand. Hand up, right over here. Oh. You are correct. Okay, Rach, I think you have another question on the other side of that. How many wards are there in Ajax? Oh, I saw this arm go up first. Sorry, how many?
3.
3. You are correct. So I think we have time for 2 more questions while we get ready for a special video that we're going to be playing. Okay, this is a true or false. Ajax is the most multicultural community in Durham region. Oh, right over here, right here. True, perfect, okay. Okay, so we're just gonna queue up the video. Thank you. And we've got one more question right now. Who was the first mayor of Ajax? You're here in the white sweater. Yes, and we just opened up Pat Bailey Square in September. If you haven't been down there yet, it's fantastic. There's a beautiful reflecting pond that turns into an ice skating rink. Highly recommend you go down there and check out our memorial to women war workers. So we just have a special video that we're going to play, and then we'll go right into some more questions.
Hi, Rachel.
Hi, Mayor Collier.
Please, Shaun is fine. Come on in.
So we just have a few questions for you today so residents can get to know you a little bit better.
Sure. What would you like?
How do you start your day?
I'll show you.
Favorite spot in town to unwind?
The gym.
Coffee or tea?
Coffee.
Winter or summer?
Love summer.
What would Rose say is your best quality?
I'm certain that Rose will say my best quality is my patience.
I think I'm better to answer that question. I would say Shaun's commitment. His commitment to his family and by extension, town of Ajax and its residents. So Shaun, let me ask you a question. What is a cause that you are most passionate about?
Right now, we're looking for a solution to the rising homeless issue in Ajax. We're looking at working with partners, and we've got the Mayor's Gala coming up. We're looking to raise some money to help tackle that growing issue and growing concern in our town.
How do you stay organized?
That's easy. I have great staff.
Sweet or savory?
Sweet.
And what's your favorite treat?
Ice cream.
Best part about being a dad?
Watching the kids grow up and sort of come into their own.
Finish the sentence. Family time means?
Time up at the cottage.
Most notable travel destination?
So far, Europe last summer.
And what's the next stamp on your passport?
Next stamp will be Buenos Aires and Uruguay.
And why are you going there?
This year marks the 80th anniversary of the Battle of the River Plate. which is very historic. Ajax is named after the HMS Ajax, which fought in that battle of the River Plate. And so on December the 13th, I will be proudly representing Ajax on the 80th anniversary.
Name this movie. Hope is a good thing, maybe the best of things, and no good thing ever dies.
That's easy. My favorite movie, Shawshank Redemption.
I know you love 80s music, Def Leppard or Bon Jovi.
Of those two, Def Leppard, but Journey is my favorite.
And what Journey song would you sing at karaoke?
I would never sing a Journey song at karaoke.
How long did you serve in the Army?
I served 5 years in the Canadian Air Forces in the Air Force.
What was the biggest lesson you learned there?
I would have to say discipline.
Who's your biggest inspiration?
Biggest inspiration is my dad.
What was the last book you read?
I'm actually reading right now, John Grisham, The Reckoning. I pretty much like anything by John Grisham.
Biggest pet peeve?
Oh, littering.
Dogs or cats?
Dogs.
If you could have dinner with one person, past or present, who would it be?
Would be Warren Buffett, because he's very successful, he's self-made, and I really like his saying, you don't have to reinvent the wheel. Find someone that's successful, find out what they're doing, and replicate it.
What was the best political advice you've received?
Engage your brain before you engage your mouth. Go. Bye.
How many years have you lived in Ajax?
I've lived in Ajax. My parents moved here in 1969, so 50 years.
Go-to restaurant in town?
Sushi T&T or McGuire's Pub.
What excites you about the future?
Well, I have a pretty great new job. We have a great new council. We have a very strong vision, and I'm really looking forward to working together and really sort of raising the bar in our town and moving forward.
And where are you off to?
I actually have a regional budget meeting, and I gotta catch a bus and continue my Shaun's excellent adventure on DRT.
And can we do this again sometime?
Yeah, anytime you like.
Thank you.
All right, have a great day. So now you know a little bit about me. that was, I guess, Rachel's brainchild, and thank you, Rachel. I think you did a great job. Thank you.
I'd like to know who your housekeeper is. It looks beautiful.
Rose does a great job. Does a great job. Back to questions? Back to questions. Yes, sir. Do we have the mic?
Bring the mic over.
Central Park, Ajax, what
Yes.
that wonderful building is. What's happening about the whole thing? All those people bought condos and...
Yep. Very frustrating. Thank you for the question. We entered into an agreement with Lamine Group back probably 3 years ago now. I think it was 2005 or 6. And this was supposed to go ahead. It was supposed to start not last July, the July before. And the pre-sales went very well. I think, am I limited on what I can talk about on this now? Okay, I have to be careful I can talk about on this. The pre-sales went very well. And when it came to actually getting started on the construction, it didn't start when it was supposed to. There was delays after delays. And we at the town wanted it to go ahead. The last thing we wanted to do was to go back and find a new company, because it would set the project back probably a year. So we tried to work with the developer, and we gave extension after extension. And finally, January of last year, we had to pull the plug. We had to. It just wasn't going to go ahead. And if it did go ahead, I don't know how successful it would have been. We made the decision based on our site plan agreement. We followed through because we had certain conditions had to be met, and they hadn't been met. So we were in a position to pull the plug. The developer turned around and sued the town. We've been through the courts. We won. The developer has now appealed the decision. The appeal was just filed yesterday, 2 days ago, and it's still in the courts. Nothing I would like better than to just get rid of this company and move on. And it's my expectation, I wanted it to get going again with another developer this year. I don't think that's going to happen. I'm hoping for next year if we can get this legal out of the way. But we've got to get that builder out, and we're not able to till we're finished the work in the courts. But to the deposits that all the homeowners, the people that bought the condos, all put down fairly substantial deposits. Those are all protected through Tarion, the new home warranty corporation at the province. And It's my understanding that everybody that is asked has got their deposits back. There are some people holding out, hoping that if the court decision had gone the way of the developer, we would have had to let them build it, and that's fine. And some people were hoping that was going to happen. But now that that decision came through quite some time ago, I think probably most people have got their deposits back by now. The problem is with the new developer, yes, I know the thing is people are concerned house prices have gone up, so new purchasers are going to have to pay a higher price in all likelihood. And unfortunately, that's economics. I mean, they didn't purchase from the town, they purchased from a developer. All we did was sell the land to the developer. We had a vision that we wanted to redevelop the downtown core. We had that piece of property. We sold it to the developer with a certain site plan agreement in place. And we still own well, we don't own the property, but we still hold the mortgage on the property. And we will get that property back, and we will find another developer to take on the project.
Get rid of that monstrosity with the peeling.
I'm working on that. Again, because we are subject to certain legal conditions, I would love to see, because it looks a mess. And that bit, when that cover was coming off before, we went and painted it. I think it was $1,800 or $1,900. The town, we painted it, and then the developer came and put all their advertising back up again. I don't know where the money came from, but they put it back up again, and now it's coming off again. So it's an eyesore. We've got to take care of it. I would expect. I've been bringing this up with our CAO. I keep looking at him, looking for, give me a date, because I've been pushing this for the last few weeks. We've got to get that wrap off of there. Let's just get it off. Let's repaint it, touch it up a bit so it doesn't look as bad. We can't take it down.
Okay.
So, next question. Yes, sir. Then we'll get to you.
During my working life, 35 years for a large company, every year that we went through a budget process, we were asked to look at efficiencies and where we were going to save money. And I would like to know what the new Ajax Council, since I heard everybody's platform was save money, what you're going to do to save us money in the town and not waste it.
Fair enough. Well, first of all, we're making an investment in the town. So the tax increase, a big portion of that is being invested in the town in the form of more staff to increase service and to raise the bar like I talked. The other thing we're looking at, one of the new people we're hiring is a dedicated grant specialist. Somebody, their sole job is to research and apply for government grants, federal, provincial. I sent one to Shane and to my council colleagues today. Last year, the Smart Cities Initiative, the challenge came out, and you could have got up towards 10 to, I think the first prize was 25 or whatever million from the federal government. I think we missed the boat on that. I mean, these are things that we should be applying for. Unfortunately, when you apply for some of these, it's almost a foot of paper, the application. You can almost put 1,000 hours into one of these applications, and there's no guarantee you're going to get the funding. So not all get applied for. This person, I expect, will pay for themselves 10 times over in a number of different initiatives. We're also looking at other non-tax revenues. Things like, well, we have our slots at Ajax Downs, and that money that we received from slots at Ajax Downs we've used to accelerate capital projects like the Audley Rec Center Phase 1 and 2, like the Fire Hall, like the Operations Center, like St. Francis Center, like the Masonic Lodge, the Quaker Meeting House on Highway 2, like the Memorial Pool out here. And we were able to accelerate those capital projects without incurring debt. So by not incurring debt, we're not paying debt servicing costs. And those debt servicing costs equated to about a 1% per year increase. So in the last 10 years, we probably avoided about an additional 1% per year increase by not incurring debt. Non-tax revenues that we're looking at are things like there's provisions in your auto insurance policies where if you're in an accident, there's somebody's in Ajax and there's an accident and our Ajax Fire responds because we have a 3-tiered response. I'll use MTO in the 401, for example. If you're on the 401, you have an accident, they don't have fire trucks, they don't have emergency vehicles. So Ajax Fire response. We bill that cost back to the province, okay? Because the 401 is a provincial road, provincial highway, and it's there, so we bill that cost back. Well, there's provisions in everybody's insurance where if there's an accident in town, the cost of the fire service can be billed back to the insurance company. we're leaving that money on the table. That's hundreds of thousands of dollars a year we're leaving on the table. Most other municipalities in the province do that. So we've identified that. That's something we're going to start to do. We're looking at some other ideas as well, things like naming rights for some of our larger buildings. The City of Pickering and City of Oshawa have been very successful. City of Pickering has raised $10 million in non-tax revenue through naming rights of 3 buildings, and 2 of them aren't even built yet. So the new library in Seaton and the new operations center, they're not even built yet, but they've already got $10 million worth of commitments from people just wanting to put their name on the building. Where's Sterling? The Tostitos Recreation Center, for instance. That's non-tax revenue. That doesn't cost us any money to do. But it's, the Mayor's Gala. We're starting the Mayor's Gala this year. The first gala is on June 15th. We've never had that before. That is a way that we can raise money, and I'm hoping that we can put that money back in the community to help address the homeless issue that we have. And each year, that's a pot of money that council can allocate into the community for certain issues. I don't know what those are, and I don't know how to fix it. We'll partner with some other community groups, like maybe the Salvation Army or Joanne's House or something like that, to help us address the homeless issue. So we're looking at other forms of income that aren't tax revenue, and there's a few more. I don't remember what they are, but we're looking at all those things. And as far as efficiencies, this year, yes, I call this year's budget a reset. Okay, we identified areas where we've fallen behind. I'm a pull the Band-Aid off quick kind of guy. We could have phased that increase in over a number of years. I'd rather just bite the bullet, get it done. And that's why I took on budget chair this year. It's not generally the mayor's. The mayor's never been the budget chair. It's usually a local council position. But I'll take responsibility for it. Okay, I'll wear it, because we need to get this done. We need to spend the money now, and then I'm hoping in the next few years we're going to be able to just maintain through other forms of revenue and just by being more efficient. I don't know if that answers the question or not.
So we're just going to go to an online question. It's from Angie. Something needs to be done about Church Street and students jumping out of cars and almost getting hit.
Wow. I didn't know that was a thing. Really? Okay. I'm going to have to look into that one. I'm not familiar with that issue at all. Local councillor? Anybody? On Church, oh, you're talking about Church Street at Pickering High School? Okay. Okay. Yeah. I guess you've had a meeting with the school board?
Yeah, just last week I think it was.
Okay.
With the superintendent and with the person in charge of the operations of their school buses. And with our staff. And so the end result is we've given them some ideas to look at. Our staff are going to get back to their staff. Everybody recognizes that there's an issue. We're limited to what we can do because of the space on Church Street itself. The bell times are, in our opinion, the bell times are too close together. They're within 5 minutes of each other, so it causes a mass chaos.
Yeah.
But it only causes mass chaos for first thing in the morning. Even at night, it doesn't cause as much. It's first thing in the morning, about 15 to 20 minutes. So we're trying to identify some of the issues that we can do. The pedestrian light that's there currently isn't in the right place anymore now that the expansion of the high school has happened. So we have to look to see if we can move that further south, possibly put up another, there's all kinds of things that we kind of brainstormed through that meeting. And the end result is staff will meet with staff, and they're going to get back to us and let us know what they can do and what they can't do.
Okay.
If it's something that needs to be added into the budget, it would not happen this year, obviously.
Okay. Thank you for that, Marilyn. And just let me take a second to explain to everybody what everybody does. The local councillors are responsible for local issues, things like our parks, rec centers, roads, litter, that kind of stuff. Local things, local town things. The regional councillors, regional issues, things like Durham Regional Police, Durham Regional Transit, health and social services, garbage pickup. These are all broad regional issues, and we sit at both the local council and the regional council, where we were all day. Today, the meeting went till about 5:30. It was a long one. And then I kind of oversee. So that's why we have the 3 different wards. So you have a local and a regional councillor in each ward, and they take care of those 2 service levels. So, and Marilyn, being a past school board trustee as well, is very versed in this. So probably the best person to deal with that issue at the Pickering High School and Lincoln Alexander up there. Yes?
I was just putting my hand. I wanted to ask you about the
resurrection of the Pickering Airport.
Okay.
Now, I know on the one hand that those in the business community are really pushing for this to happen. On the other hand, you have those that believe we need the farmland so we can get our fresh produce from close to home, and also are concerned about quality of life with the noise from flights, then landing and taking off over top of Ajax and the town. So how do you balance that out?
Okay, good question, and very relevant question. I'm not sure if you're aware, Cecily, but about 15 years ago, Toronto Pearson changed the flight path, actually. And you may have noticed, what people probably didn't even hardly notice, but we are right in the flight path of Pearson now. You probably notice a major increase. So we have the traffic already. To the airport, I support the idea of having a Pickering Airport. Economic development, development-wise and job-wise, it would be a huge asset to the region of Durham. Not necessarily, Ajax will benefit, but the region of Durham, tens of thousands of jobs over 20, 30 years. It could be, and also it would centralize us. So instead of all the businesses having to transport goods and everything to the other side of the city, it would provide access to the world right here. Because we've already got the port in Oshawa as well, and rail, so it would really give us good connectivity. But then you've also got the agricultural side of things. So just to the airport again, I support the idea of an airport, but I still want to see the business plan. The business plan has to support an airport. We don't want another Mirabel. Okay, we don't want to make the investment and not have it go through. That's a federal decision. My understanding is, and Mark Holland was asked this question last night, and he says the business case isn't there yet. I've been told the business case is there. And we're just waiting for it to be released. I hope this will become a federal issue in this federal election that's coming October 17th. And I hope you ask all the candidates that are going to be running in this election where they stand on an airport and really press the current government to release that business plan. Like, let's make a decision. It's been 46 years or 47 years since those lands were expropriated. Somebody's got to make a decision. If the business decision is positive, absolutely, I would support it, and I think it would be a great asset. I will be bringing a motion forward to Ajax Council in the near future for us to take a position on it, and we'll see what Ajax Council thinks about that. To the agriculture, I'm a big believer in embracing technology. So if we have an acre of land, we're in Canada, we have a very short growing season. So you can grow for 6-7 months a year, and you get one crop off 1 acre. So if you have greenhouses, now you've extended your growing cycle, okay, and you can also, through lighting, extend your time. You've just tripled your output from that 1 acre. Then if you have stacked greenhouses, so if you just tripled your crops by having the greenhouse, if you have stacked greenhouses, which is the new technology, you could have 3 times, 6 times, 9 times, 12 times, depending on how high you go. So that 1 acre could give you 12 times the output through technology. It wouldn't apply to everything, but we need to embrace technology, and we've got all this greenbelt land, and quite honestly, like a lot of it is farm, but there's still a lot that's not as well. So we need to look at better use of those assets, and also using the technology to make it work better. So I think they can all work together. I don't expect, if an airport does go ahead, that we would have a whole lot of issue with the planes overhead. I haven't seen the plan yet, so I don't know if we would be in the flight plan or not, the flight path or not. But I'm open to looking at it. Does that answer your question? Yes. Okay. Yes, sir.
Yeah. Congratulations on the video, and to the women who organized it. I was interested in your priority. If I heard right, you said homelessness. That's an issue important to me.
It's a big issue.
I worked with students during my teaching career on that, and every time I'm shoveling snow, I'm reminded of it, which was too often this year. So I'm just wondering what you had in mind. You alluded a bit earlier to it, but I'm just wondering what your perspective is.
We need to be more proactive. It's a growing issue. What they say, and I've met with the Salvation Army, and I know Lisa Bauer and Joanne Dyes have met with some of the local community groups as well. I don't know enough about it, but I know it's an issue. What they say is if you see one, there's really 50, right? So if you go around here across the road, you see more than one. You see a lot of them. You see the sleeping bags. You know people are around. I've heard stories of tents, people seeing tents set up even on hardwood. We need to deal with it. This winter's over. We had the library opened as a warming station on the really cold nights. We've got the church, the Faith Way across the road here wanting, I think it's Faith Way, wanting to do something. We've got a lot of community partners that want to get involved and want to do something to help address this. Let's get them together. Let's figure out a way to get them working together to do this. We can't do it, but what we can do is what I'm hoping to do with the Mayor's Gala is to provide some funding. So we're already done this year, but for the next winter and throughout the year, because this is a year-round type of thing, that we'd be better prepared.
Does the region do anything given that people take buses and move within the region?
Yeah, we had a program. I don't remember what it's called, but what they have is it was a pilot that just ended, and we've renewed it, and we've added another 300-something thousand to expand it across the region. It started in Oshawa because Oshawa really has the biggest problem, just because it does. I don't know why. It's just that seems to be where the biggest problem is. And we have a paramedic and a social worker in a vehicle, and their job is they drive around. And so instead of, if you see somebody who's homeless in the bus shelter or something, they might not be aware that there are resources there to help them. Okay, so these people are actually going out into the field, they're meeting with the people, they're going to the tent cities, and they're telling them about these and trying to bring them and get them off the streets and help them get back into the community. And, well, it was just in Oshawa, it was a pilot. It was a pilot. So it just finished, and it worked very well, and we've put some more money in it to extend it and expand it. So I don't know whether it's going to go to all municipalities or not, but I've suggested that it come here. And yeah, so that's what the region is doing, and it's worked very well. Can we solve it permanently? I don't think so, but we can do the best we can to try and help. So, yes, sir. Sorry, I meant to come back to you before. I apologize.
Thank you, Shaun, and your staff for your great work.
You're welcome.
My question is that I think we have a great city, but I think we are not portraying it ourselves in a very good manner in terms of all the benefits and thingies to companies to come into Ajax. I was just wondering, any plans to, I would say, portray or showcase our city to all these companies and people in the future?
Absolutely, and I have been. Ever since probably October 23rd, and well before that, actually, even before I first announced I was running for mayor, May 1st, I've been meeting with local businesses and just building those relationships. One of the first things I set out to do, and I made a commitment to doing, is rebuilding our relationship with our neighbors, being Pickering, because I don't know if everybody's aware, but it's been pretty combative, and same with our relationship with the region. I mean, when you have. There was a lot of animosity towards Ajax for our slots revenues, and people thought we should have shared. And in the beginning, we offered to. When it first started in 2005, we offered the region. It was in the agreement. I think it was $100,000 a year, because originally it was supposed to be $1 million we got. And that was 10%, and the region turned it down and said, no, we want real actual policing costs. Well, the actual policing costs were zero, so they weren't happy. But you can't make a deal and then you don't like the deal and change it. That's the deal. But there was a lot of animosity. So when we would go into any kind of negotiating or wanting to move any kind of Ajax issue forward, we always started at a disadvantage. So I set out right from the start to rebuild those relationships. And I think we've come a long way. I think the environment at the region, and as well with our neighbors in Pickering, anybody that saw the mayor's address on Thursday, has come a long, long way. So that relationship is well on the mend. The other thing I've been doing since I started was reaching out, and I go with our economic development team to all the major employers in town. We met with Volkswagen and Viridian and Saffron and Gordon Foods and who else? I'm missing some. East Penn. Like there's a bunch. And just sort of reaching out to them saying, hi, I'm Shaun Collier. We're here to help you. These are our staff. If you encounter any issues, let us know. Like, we are open for business, and we want to do everything we can to support you and enable you and make you successful. Because we're partners. They're employers in our town. They're taxpayers. We're partners. Because business retention is just as important as attracting new business. At the same time, I've been talking to a lot of other people. I think people are pretty familiar with my goal of getting an incubator here, an accelerator in Ajax, an innovation hub, creating an innovation hub. That's well on the way. We're looking for space. We've got the money allocated, and we're looking for space. And the money was not from the budget. This is reserves. But Also dealing with people like the Pecos, the major landowner in town that owns 150 of our, or 125 or 50 of our employment lands, most of our vacant employment lands. They've never been on the market before, right? So we've pre-serviced the land, but it's pretty hard to get businesses here if those lands aren't on the market, if they're not for sale. They're for sale now. Okay, so I don't want to say anything negative about the past, but we're doing things very differently going forward. We've got a bit of a reputation in the past of not being very favorable to business, not being very easy to deal with. I'm changing that. Okay, by reaching out and talking and having these discussions, building these relationships, we're changing that. And we're seeing a lot more inquiries now, and I expect to see a lot more. So, and also cutting a lot of the red tape. That was my campaign slogan, cut the red tape and roll out the red carpet for business. We're doing that. We've hired some of our new staff are in the planning department to help clear some of the backlog, plans examining and plans review and things like that. So it's not going to happen overnight, but throughout this term of council, my goal is 5,000 new jobs. And I think that's achievable, and we'll just keep working towards that. That's the plan.
So we have an online question here. This is from Peter. Why are builders allowed to build large homes with one-car garage and a one-car driveway?
Good question. The easy answer is the Planning Act. The Planning Act allows it. We don't want it. Quite honestly, when these applications come to council, when these site plans come to council, we don't want to approve something with only 2 parking spots, because we know that we don't allow on-street parking. We know people have more than 2 cars. My friend Gagan here has got about 8. But I'm just saying. We know there's going to be problems. We know that kids are living at home longer. The kids don't leave home at 19, 20 anymore. They leave home at 27, 28. We know we have dual family homes, right? We have parents living at home with their kids. We have, we don't have just single families anymore. And the Planning Act hasn't grown with that. The Planning Act says that as long as the developer gives 1 parking spot in the garage, which we know most people use for stuff, not cars, and a lot of these, like I couldn't fit my truck in my garage, right? They're just not big enough. And then 1 on the driveway. As long as that requirement is met, we can't turn it down. We'd love to turn it down, but we can't turn it down. If we do, then the developer is going to go, it used to be the Ontario Municipal Board, the OMB, and now it's called LPAT, the land, something tribunal. And that takes the decision-making power out of our hands. So what we try and do, and I'll use the one example that's happening right now, is at Burden and Finley. The development, anybody that lives down South Ajax, down by the lake there, Burden and Finley, there was a small commercial plaza that has been vacant for about 5 years at least, and I think we can all agree that a commercial plaza isn't viable in that location. So I'm not opposed to the land conversion to make that commercial to residential, but they also want to go from low density to medium density. And medium density is townhouses and basically a lot more in that area on that small. I don't think that's going to go through as is, but we will try and work with the developer, because we can't just say no, because again, they'll appeal it and that takes the decision away, but we'll try and work with them and find a compromise, find a solution. And that's what we do. So can we widen the driveways a little bit here? Can we do this here? Can we try and make it? But why do we approve it? Sometimes we have to. There's just, we know our hands are tied, and that's just the way the Planning Act works.
Okay, so we're just going to go to trivia, our last round of trivia, and then we will have time for a few more questions. So what year was the town of Ajax founded? I see a hand over there. 1955. You are correct. Here's a good question, and if you looked at our history cases when you were arriving, you may know the answer. How did the town of Ajax get its name? Yes, right here, sir. Yeah.
From the HMS Ajax.
Yes, from the HMS Ajax. Ajax is one of the few towns that's actually named after a ship in the whole world.
Mm-hmm.
And we have 2 final questions. True or false, Ajax is home to the largest stretch of publicly owned waterfront in southern Ontario? I heard a truth right here.
There you go. 7 kilometers.
7 kilometers. We got 1 more, and this can be approximate. What is the population in Ajax? I don't see an hand. I need his hand. I need a hand. Anyone? Over here. Higher. Over here, Mohammed. You got it, 120. Thanks, everyone.
So one of the answers was we were incorporated in 1955, so next year is our 65th anniversary. So I'm hoping that we can do some special things next year. We don't know what yet, but I've already put a sort of a bug in my staff's ear that we need to do something to make that a big deal, because that is a big anniversary. So stay tuned for that. Do we have any more questions? Gagan?
First of all, thank you for the coffee.
We gotta have coffee every time now.
Oh, I have to borrow a bottle of, well, not borrow, but I drank the bottle of water yesterday from Mark Holland's staff. So thank you for that yesterday. My question is, I know that a lot of people not agree with the tax raise, but I want to know is how much have you used or allocated towards Innovation Hub and Research and Development Hub to attract young students or university people come here, do some innovation work. Yesterday, I overheard one of the persons saying that government should give some grant to university students who can work on it. In a way, yes, I agree 100%, but we shouldn't be looking at getting that profit back from them. I mean, as a personal, sure, I like to have profit and loss, but society has to be bigger than that. But that being said, I want to know what's your take on Research and Development and Innovation Hub in Ajax?
Well, I think technology is the future, and I think we have to do everything we can to encourage that. I think there's going to be a hub and spoke approach. I want Ajax to be the innovation hub in the region of Durham, and then everybody else to be the spokes. I don't want to be a spoke. If we are, fine, but I'd rather be leaders, and that's why the region is doing some investment in the Spark Center in Oshawa, but I think we can do it, I'm hoping, bigger and faster ourselves. I'm looking for properties right now with our economic development staff, looking for the location, and we're looking to partner. Again, one of the things I'm talking about in this business outreach to the businesses is how can we partner together? And I'll use Gordon Foods for the example. They've come and invested here, $50 million, 330,000 square foot building. It's going to be 600 jobs, which is great, and these are good quality, good paying jobs. And they had to go to Europe to buy the equipment they need for order fulfillment. Logistics is huge. Most people think logistics is trucking. It's not. The order fulfillment is now a lot more computerized, and there's things like these robotic suits they use to lift the stuff, and there's order fulfillment, all automated pickers and all these things. So they had to go to Europe to get the equipment for that plant. But it's not exactly what they need. So what we talked about is, okay, through the Innovation Hub, how can we work together to develop those products to make them absolutely suitable to what you need here in Canada, that type of thing. So working, we've also got companies like Viridium, which on Monday, or what's the 1st? April 1st is going to be a Lexicon. I sit on the Business Development Committee. Oh, I'm on the board, but I'm also on the Business Development Committee there. And we're always looking for non-regulated business. Electricity sale is regulated business, and the hydro, what's it called? The Hydro Commission, the Hydro Board basically sets out the price and all the conditions, but the non-regulated things like solar and stuff like that, we can do outside of that. There's a lot of technology that we want to partner. So OPG was one that we met with, and we've got a commitment. OPG has their X Lab. They've committed, they've got over 300 engineers there at OPG. They've committed to their expertise to come help us. If we have people working in our incubator, once it gets started, they will offer their services to us to help get. They've also offered some money, which is great, but they've offered that to help. So by partnering with all these big businesses like Saffron, which used to be the landing gear company, again, huge technology. So we have all these assets here, and then we have all the Durham College, UIT, Trent University, as well as a lot of other universities all around. I'd love to get a college university campus here. And I'm working with Trent on that. There's some interest there. So again, reaching out, building these relationships. It's not going to happen overnight. Over time, though, we're building momentum, and it's going to happen. So I'm confident. You said, where's the money going to come from? It's going to come from one of our reserves. Capital Contingency Reserve, I think, is the one where we've got a bit of money parked that we can access for that. But what I'm hoping to do is partner with one of our local landowners on, can we get a preferential or It would be nice, free lease for a couple of years to get us up and started. Then we use our money for maybe the capital improvements. That's coming soon. We're going to have our economic development presentation soon. And again, I don't know all the details. I have the ideas. They're going to tell us the business plan on how we make this happen. But technology is definitely the future. Logistics is very, very strong here in Ajax and in Durham. But other municipalities have their strengths too. Like Pickering might go nuclear, right? Oshawa, well, probably not anymore, but could have gone automotive. Things like that. Each municipality has their own strengths. Up north could be agricultural, right? And stacked greenhouses, like I talked about. That could be their expertise. So we're going to work together and do everything we can to attract, and I think we're getting a lot of interest, but stay tuned. Hope that answered your question.
So we're going to go to another online question.
Okay.
And we have a question regarding garbage cans in public spaces.
Awesome.
Can you provide an update on garbage cans in public spaces?
The war on litter, I want to take a more proactive approach, and I wrote about this in some of my policy statements in the election. Litter costs us about 1% of our budget per year. It's about $700,000–800,000 a year we spend on litter pickup. And that's, to me, an avoidable tax, right? We shouldn't have to pay. If people were a little more aware and a little more considerate or a little more conscious about it, I think we could avoid a lot of that, but I don't think that's realistic. I think it's still going to happen. So I'm a big believer in the broken windows theory, which is, you know, if something's broken, fix it. Like raise your standard, and that's what we're doing. We're raising our standard. We've got a lot of litter now, and we're having an issue with people just tossing bags out their window. I don't know when that became a thing, but people taking a grocery bag, filling it up with all the car garbage, tying it, and throwing it out the window. I drove down Salem the other day, and I counted 5 bags, and I turned right on Karis, and there's another one. And it wasn't there the day before, so I don't know when this became a thing, but it is. So to be proactive, what I want to do is put up more garbage cans. Put them everywhere. So let's at least get it so it doesn't get put on the ground. Let's get it before it gets on the ground. Another thing I'd like to see is and I've met with Canada Post already, they don't have an objection to this, putting post-mounted blue bins at all the Canada Post outlets. So people don't drop their junk mail on the ground, they put it in the blue bin, and then the regional waste picks it up when they go by, when they pick up your blue bin on whatever day it is. I've got the region giving us a cost on that as well. Things like smart cities initiatives. I'd love to get to the stage through the smart cities initiative where, you know, our garbage cans can tell us when they're full. So we're not sending staff out to empty garbage cans that aren't full and wasting time and resources. Right? There's a lot of things that we can do to be more proactive. You know, people say education. I don't really think that works. I think we have to, so by raising the bar, I think people don't see litter anywhere. I think it sort of, people will care more. We want people to have more pride in the community, and we want people to take more care. But again, proactive. I want to get it before it gets on the ground, and that's by putting out more garbage cans. One other thing. We talked about alternative revenue streams. Instead of us paying for it, I'm working with a company right now that will provide them. So instead of us putting them in and buying them and putting them in and paying to empty them, this company will come and put them in and empty them at their cost. And they put some advertising on it, sure, but it doesn't cost us tax dollars. Right? That's something that we can do. It doesn't cost us any money, and it solves the problem. And again, same as the bus stops. We can do that at the bus stops too. So thinking outside the box a little bit is what I'm trying to do and what our council's trying to do. Hope that answers. I know you had another, but you've already asked three. This gentleman back here. I'll come back at the very end. I'll give you one more at the end. Yes, sir.
With the growth of seniors in town,
yep.
What's your plan to partner with the seniors of Ajax?
Well, good question, yes. We developed our senior strategy, and I know you're part of the seniors over here at St. Andrews. I've also been meeting with, I've been to the Probus. My parents are part of Probus. There's 2 Probus groups in town. And we developed a senior strategy, and now we're developing our age-friendly community strategy. And we're going to be rolling that out. And I'm hoping to address some of those things because, you know, if you look at our community guide at the 55+ page, we got about, what, 4 pages? And you look at the Whitby one, and they've got about 45 pages of activities for seniors. So I know we have some growing to do there. Also, you know, when you talk to Probus pays to rent the Ajax Community Center for their meetings. I don't know what you think about it, but why aren't they using St. Andrews as well, like everybody else? I mean, opening up some of these spaces.
Partly because St. Andrews can't be used because we are active 7 days a week.
Okay.
Business 7 days a week.
Okay.
With seniors.
Very good. Well, one other thing I'd like to see is we've got, everybody know where the Village Arena is? Okay, the Village Arena, the small satellite library, and that small senior center there. To me, that's a prime location for a community building that could be something like a full senior center and a full service library and a much better use of that land. That's a capital project that I've got staff looking at now, hoping to get into the long range. I don't know exactly what the solution is, but I know through the is it called, Rachel, the older adult strategy? Is that what it's called? Okay. And we also have our, it's an ad hoc committee, the steering committee that's starting as well, getting more feedback from the seniors on what is the right way to do this, because I don't know. I'm not quite there yet. A couple of years to go. But again, getting that feedback and figuring out what we need to do to solve the problem. So I'm open to suggestions, and we have met, and we've met. And you know I'm open to suggestions, and I'll take any feedback you give me back, and we'll do what we can. Yes?
The National Post on Saturday had a 2-page spread on smart cities.
Okay.
Oh, the National Post on Saturday, 2-page spread on smart cities, mainly Vancouver, I think, and their homelessness, and how one of the ideas was they worked with the homeless. They go around picking up bottles and they did that normally. Well, the city organized them, or they organized themselves actually, and the city gave them a uniform, and now it's, very organized.
Okay.
But there were other ideas there too, if you're interested.
I'm very interested. Yeah, no, that's actually a pretty neat idea. See, I wouldn't have thought of that, because to me, smart cities is all about connectivity and technology.
Well, they mentioned that as well, of course.
Okay, because I'm going to the FCM conference in Quebec City in June, I want to say June. And I know I'm signed up to attend the Smart Cities seminar there, because I want to learn more about it. And there's also something, I think, Sterling, coming in Toronto? Yeah, that we're going to as well. So and again, the people on our council are very interested as well. So we're trying to get more information because it's fairly new. One thing we're doing is developing our strategic plan. So we had in February our first strategic planning meeting where we put all our ideas together, and we're developing a 4-year plan. So this is where we are, this is where we want to be, and these are the things we have to do step by step by step to reach those goals. And we're identifying what are the highest priorities. So that will be happening, I believe, in June, I want to say June, that we're going to be sort of finalizing that strategic plan. Then it's going to go out to public consultation. So then we'll have all these community meetings at the community centers here, wherever else, where you'll have an opportunity to review our 4-year plan. And again, tell us what you like, what you don't like, what we're doing right, what we're doing wrong, and sort of guide us so we do what the residents want over the next 4 years. But Smart City is definitely part of it, and I'm very interested in that technology portion.
Well, that's a good article.
Yeah, I will get it. I will read it now. I wasn't aware of it. Yes, sir. Oh, you asked one already. You, sir. We'll come back.
My wife and I several times have gone skating at Pat Billy Square.
Yep.
Really enjoyed it, and we're really impressed by the facilities that the town has developed with their change rooms and washrooms, etc. And then we look up, and there's this huge apartment building where I've heard and read a few rumors about what's going to happen to it, the second one. I think
what's going to happen to it?
Well, I thought I read in the paper where the rents that they're going to be charging are going to be subsidized by the federal government?
No, they're going to be slightly below market, and I'll tell you why. Is there more to the question? Were you finished the question? Okay. The developer, Medallion, first of all, that development, Pat Bailey Square, the Medallion Vision development, is the largest municipal project ever in the region of Durham. And that was a vision of the past council. We expropriated that land. What that land was originally destined for was, I think, a Swiss chalet and a Shoppers Drug Mart and a bank. I mean, that's what they were going to put on that property. And we as a council decided that's not the vision that we wanted for our downtown core. We want to redevelop our downtown core to create a pedestrian-friendly live-work type environment. And those buildings are what we call mixed use. So you've got main floor retail, second, third floor office, and then residential above. So people can live, work, shop. They don't have to own a car. They can walk. Then we've got the central, the square, which we're going to be programming for all kinds of community events. So that's the vision. That's why it's called Vision. And we chose Medallion because Medallion is a company that builds rental. And that's one of the things, the inventories for housing in Ajax we're really short on is rental properties. So they come and they build and they stay, where most developers come and they build and they sell and they leave. That's why we went with Medallion, and they've been a great partner. They were able to get $60 million in a CMHC loan. And the requirements for that is they pay very little interest on that loan, so they can build the thing cheaper. But one of the conditions is it has to be, the rents have to be lower. And so by doing that, we've now got, which is another issue we have, is the rents are getting quite high, especially in, I hear complaints across the road at the Falvey, some of the Falveys as well, they're raising them there. Now we have 308 units that's not social housing, but the income, the rent is going to be 10% below market or better. And that's the condition of getting that $60 million construction loan at a very low rate. So that's what's happened there. So phase 2 is going to be a lower market rate, yes. And we've just got the applications in for phase 3 and 4 as well, the next 2 towers. So they're at our planning staff now. So that's going ahead, and that's a good news story, and we'll probably see more of those. That's, you asked one already? Yes, Earl.
Durham Transit.
Yep.
What are you doing to increase ridership?
Am I repeating it?
Yep. So for Durham Transit, what are you doing to increase ridership on Durham Transit?
Very near and dear to my heart. I'm chair of Durham Regional Transit, and I was vice chair last term, and it's something that really interests me because we've got a major gridlock issue. And anybody trying to get around during rush hour is very, very frustrating. Actually, most times of the day is very frustrating. So the goal is to get more people out of their car onto transit. Anybody on social media has seen, I initiated Shaun's excellent DRT adventure, we've been calling it, where I've been actually taking the bus. Rachel 2 and I have been actually taking transit. So we've been choosing different locations. And as chair, I'm trying to set an example. I'm trying to show people how easy it is. So for instance, we went to Bowmanville, and we took it from Bowmanville to UOIT, North Campus. And then we took it from there down to Durham College, Whitby Campus, right? Which is very common routes. Those are 2 of our most busy routes. We took it all the way out to Scarborough campus of U of T. We've taken it, we picked it up over here at the Durham Center, took it down to the hospital, went to the community center, went back up to the GO station, went across to my favorite Thai place in Pickering, Pickering, had lunch, came back. So we're just trying to, by setting an example, show people how easy it is to use. And quite honestly, it's convenient. And my productivity has gone up because when I'm there, I can catch up on all my emails, all my messages, phone calls, everything else. So by the time I'm done and I get to the destination, I'm all caught up. So it's great. The other thing that we've partnered with Metrolink. So if you take the bus to the GO station, which most people do, it's subsidized, so it only costs you 75 cents. I don't know if a lot of people know that or not, but it's 75 cents. So you don't pay the full amount. You tap your Presto card and you go to the GO station, and Metrolink reimburses us for the difference in the fare. So we need to get that message out more. Another thing we've done is we've just approved children under 12 ride free with a paid fare. So the issue is if you're a parent and you have 2 kids and you don't have a car and you need to take transit, it's costing you $8 or $9 by the time you pay your adult fare and 2 kids, which is a lot, right? If you're a low income or on Ontario Works or something. And that's about what it would cost you to take an Uber, right? So by allowing the children under 12 to ride free with a paid fare, a paid adult, now all of a sudden we're hoping they're going to take transit more. Another thing we're looking at is a reduced fare student pass, and I've got setting up meetings with the public and Catholic school boards to look at how can we get the high school kids back on Durham Regional Transit, because I think everybody knows they went to the yellow buses in 2007, I think, right? That was a business decision. They came to us. I was on transit, 2011. I was on transit at the time, And they came and they kind of gave us an ultimatum. They said, look, if you raise the cost of the student pass, which at the time was about $51, more than $3 or $4, we're going to go with yellow buses. And we said, well, you're making a business decision. We have to make a business decision, and we have to charge $73 because the student fare at $51 was about a 78% reduction over our actual cost. So that was, you know, for every dollar, taxpayers are paying 78 cents of a student's ride to go to school. Well, you know, respectfully, education is a provincial requirement, not a local requirement. So we shouldn't really be subsidizing that. Plus, the school boards were receiving funding from the province for busing. So they decided to direct their funding to busing and take the yellow buses, and that's fine. But the thing is, if you have kids like mine that are in extracurricular activities and they don't catch the bus home at 2:30 or whatever the time ends, say they're running track and they're done at 4, now how are they going to get home? Right? So Durham Regional Transit offers that access all day. So it's not just there in the morning and back. The other thing the school boards did was they expanded the boundary. So before, if you lived within a, was it 1.7, I think, kilometer radius, you could get access to the student pass. So when they went to the yellow buses, they made it, I don't know what it is, call it 3, don't quote me on that, but they made the boundary wider, so they're serving less kids. You had to live further away to get the service. So if we can get the kids back on the bus, which what I want to do is through a lower cost student pass, I think what we lose in revenue will make up in volume, right? We're running the buses anyway. Every kid we get on, say we charge $40 for a pass instead of, what is it now, 92 or 93, or if we charge $50. If we get 1 or 2 on, we're making more money than we are now, because I don't think we sell a lot of those $93 monthly passes. So things like that. We're also looking at, what's the other one? The Access Pass, which is for people who are on disability. It doesn't apply if you're on Ontario Works or you have low income. We're looking at having that Access Pass available to them too. All those things hopefully collectively together, a little bit here, a little bit there, a little bit there, we'll get more people on. The other thing this year, with the 4.2% increase to the transit budget, we're offering 3,800 more service hours this year, which is increasing routes, increasing frequency. Because transit has to be reliable and it has to be convenient, otherwise people won't use it. So we're trying to do all those things. You probably have seen all the bus shelters all around town. I've been pushing for that since I got there. And along Taunton Road, because we really, prior to 2010, didn't have very many. Now we've got about 250 new shelters in Ajax. So it takes time. It's a growing service. We don't always do it right, but if we do identify something, we do look at modifying the routes or doing what we can to capture. And our goal is, I think we have something like 75% of all residents in the region of Durham in the lakeshore municipalities, because in the north is a completely different story, live within 200 meters of a bus stop. And about 90% live within 400 meters. So we can't force people. We can make it as convenient as possible.
Okay, so it's 8:26 now. We still have a half an hour reception after this. So there's more opportunity for more questions and one-on-one with the mayor. Do we want to take one more online question?
I said this gentleman I'd take his one more question from Pharaoh. Yes.
Okay.
Well, first of all, I want to say that, do I really need this? Yep. Okay. I want to say that today's meeting is much more, the subject matter has been much more diverse than yesterday's meeting. I've enjoyed it, and just about every topic I have an opinion. But one of the things that, and I also have a dog, and I concur with you that we need more garbage cans.
Well, that's a different story. I want in-ground organic compost and things for dog waste. I mean, why are we paying to truck that away and dispose of it? But that's another story.
Ground, Shaun.
That's another story, yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, you mentioned earlier about your interest in developing business.
Yep.
And I'm hoping that you provide me with the right answer. When I saw the news advertiser today, the front page, there was an advertisement from Gannon's gun store in
I saw that on the inside
Oshawa,
cover,
which I'm familiar with. My son lives on Monarch. The last time I was in this room, second last time I was in this room, it was jam-packed with the gun lobbyists. I didn't even know that there was a gun store there, to tell you the truth. The windows were all whited out. However, when I found out about it, and they did advertise there was a meeting here, the place was jammed. 90% of the people here, it was standing room only, 90% of the people here were from outside of Ajax, and 98% of them were in favor of gun ranges. They want to put 17 ranges or 17 lines of gun ranges on Monarch. Now, it's been moved to the rear of Monarch, and I understand too that I saw a picture in the advertiser of our former mayor doing a ribbon cutting ceremony with the owners.
Mm-hmm.
But since then, I've found that it's been on a stall basis.
No. You're talking about Firearms Canada retail outlet, which opened last year.
They've been open for a long time.
Yeah, I didn't go to the openings, didn't know about it, but I know Mayor Parrish went. And from what I understand, about 5,000 people went that opening weekend, and they traveled from as far as Winnipeg to go to this. It's enormously successful. What a lot of people don't realize is since 1957, when the Ajax Rod and Gun Club started in Ajax, which is 2 years after we incorporated, it's been here for 61 years, or 62 years now. But people don't realize that we've had a gun range here for 62 years. When I was in Scouts, when I was 14, 15, I used to go shoot at the Ajax Community Center, because when there was one pad of ice and the change room there, you would change your skates during the day. In the evenings, that was a shooting range. So, I mean, it's been here forever. Now it's up at Paulin Park. Ajax Rod and Gun Club is up at Paulin Park. So it's always been here, and it's always been part. And you know, I'm ex-military. I don't have a problem with guns. I think legal owners are responsible. It's the gangs and the illegal owners that are the problem. But to the retail, it's enormously successful. And an application is in at the town to have, and it's not a 17, I understand it's a 10-lane. Yeah, I think that was originally, but I think it's been brought back to about a 10. And yeah, when that comes to council, we'll make that decision. However, I understand they're looking at alternate locations too. I think some uses of the change, I think the ownership of the building changed. So the whole building, because he's a tenant, he rents there. So I think the ownership of the whole building was sold, and I think they're looking at some other locations because they're not sure, you know, somebody might want to pull that down and build something else there, I don't know. But when it comes to council, we'll look at it, and we'll, you know, it's not my decision, it's council decision.
Well,
and
talking to Joanne Dyes a couple times.
Yep.
She is of the opinion that council would turn it down, but the region or the municipal building, whatever you referred to, would have the final say.
No, the council has the final say. Planning will put together a report. The report will either be in support or opposed. And, you know, I'm not a planner. I don't know everything about planning. So we have to take their advice. But council will have the ultimate decision-making power on that when it comes. And I don't know when it's coming.
I'm not against gun ranges, but I think the location on Monarch is a bad location.
Okay. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I'm not. When it comes, we'll make that decision. Yeah. But wherever you put it, somebody's not gonna be happy with the location. I'm gonna look at it from a number of different angles. One of those is gonna be, you know, one thing about that current retail outlet is they pay $70,000 a year in property taxes. They hire 12 people, and the average salary is about $55,000. So to me,
business is going to take over the other concept, the people that don't want a gun range across the street from their home.
well, again, there's always going to be people that are opposed to things, whether it be cannabis, whether it be, you got to think about this, you know, alcohol, tobacco, pot, guns. I mean, some people like them, some people don't, right? You're always going to have that. It's a choice. If you don't like it, don't go in there. If you don't want to buy alcohol, don't go in the LCBO, right? But it's here and it's legal, so we have a responsibility to look at it. If an application comes to council, we have to look at it, and we have to give it a fair, at all angles. That's all I can say about it. Well, you haven't seen it yet, so we're what-ifing right now. When it comes, we'll look at it thoroughly.
Okay.
There was several years ago a shooting in South Ajax, just off of Weston, a little plaza where the motorcycle group had an office or something.
Okay.
I don't know whether it was a gun range or a gun club, but it did lead to a shooting, and if I'm not mistaken, maybe a murder.
Well, I mean, we've had a lot of shootings in Ajax just in the last year, and that's unfortunately, fortunately, they're not random events. These are targeted events, and we have regular meetings with Durham Regional Police. We have a very good open line of communication with Inspector Jeff Haskins from Durham West. I've seen the videos of the one that happened at the whatever Bear Pub over by the Giant Tiger, the most recent one. We can't fix stupid. If a guy runs around and just gets a gun from somewhere and starts shooting it up in the air, which is what happened at that one, they got him, they arrested him, he's in jail. There was one at Falby Court a month or two ago. Same thing. It was targeted. These are not random. And Tom, maybe you can help me. Tom's a police officer, Durham Regional Police. Maybe these are not random events. They're targeted events. So these are people who are known to the police. And this particular guy at Falby, they're watching him. Right? So they're catching them. They're catching these people. They're putting them in jail, or they should be. And they're dealing with it. So these are not random events. If they're random events, I'd be very concerned. But targeted events, I mean, I'm glad to have them off our streets. I think that's it, Rachel?
Yeah, I would actually just like to address everybody who's online. There still are a few questions there that we haven't had a chance to get to. And I'd just like to reassure everyone that we will be reviewing the questions and we will be responding to them at a later time, likely within the next 24 to 48 hours, so that we can respond to their questions. And I just wanted to pass it over to you, Mayor Collier, just for closing remarks. And as I mentioned, we do have a reception afterwards, so you're welcome to stay and have a coffee and have some more one-on-one time with Mayor and Council.
Okay. Yeah, I just want to say thank you to everybody for coming. Great questions. Again, I want to remain thoroughly engaged with everybody over at least this 4 years, and we'll worry about the next 4 years after. But the same with all my colleagues as well. Like tomorrow night, we have Councillor Khan and Councillor Lee are holding their open house. Where is it, Ash? At the Audley Rec Center. 6:30 to 8, Audley Rec Center. I know Ward 1, Rob Tyler and Marilyn have held theirs already, and they've got another one coming. I know Ward 3 has held theirs here a few weeks ago, Councillor Dyes and Bauer. So we're all reaching out, and there will be a lot more public consultation because we do want the input. And so I thank everybody for taking the time out of their day to come tonight. Really appreciate you being engaged and you know, taking some interest in your community and how we move things forward. And I said in the video, I hope I said it properly in the video, we've got a new council, we've got a new vision, and I think it's really, really exciting, and I'm really looking forward to the next 4 years. So I hope to work together and make Ajax even a better place. So thank you very much.
Mayor Collier was just talking about engagement and how important that is to Mayor and Council this term. We recently launched a new public engagement platform. This is an online platform where you can create a customized profile and you can learn about all of the exciting initiatives and programs and projects that we have going on in town. So it's an opportunity for you to provide your comment and to stay up to date. And we have laptops outside if you'd like to explore that platform and create your profile, and we can answer your questions as well.